What's happening? I'm gonna jump on here. Kind of a spontaneous, jumping on here kind of spontaneous right now. I just been doing some training, getting a little bit of a workout in. Last couple hours. And I figured I'd jump on here live if anyone wants to do a little bit of training. If you got any questions, I can answer some questions. Especially when it comes to solo training. I think a lot of people kind of get confused. You know, they kind of get messed up on like what to do and stuff with solo training. You know, in Kali, it's usually pretty obvious how to train. You know, when you got partner time in, but you know when you're solo training, you know, it's like a lot of times what's up with that. I got all my gear here, man. So if you got questions about like training the bolo, if you got questions on the stick, double stick, knife, I got my short staff over here. So if you got any questions, we can go ahead and answer some questions. I'll kind of let you guys kind of lead it out. All right, so if you got anything, let me know. Let me know. We'll get to it. I got this new tripod for my phone, and it's not really as good as the old one. So one of the questions I get when it comes to like the spear stuff. Let's see, how we doing? If you're just joining me in the comments, put down where you're watching from. What's happening? What's happening? Left class for this, for live, huh? In my country, it's middle of the night. Sometimes I come out here and train in the middle of the night. You know, the last few nights have been nice and clear, so a lot of good moonlight and everything. So sometimes it's good to get outside and do some training out in the middle of the night. So I do that. I do that quite a bit. When is the best time to eat? Before training or after training? So it depends on your training. That's actually a really good question. And I think that might be the first time I've actually gotten that question. But it depends on what you're actually doing as far as the training. Typically what I do is I make sure that I got some sort of energy, a good energy source food before I train. So usually some sort of fruit is going to be really good for that. You don't want to eat so much or too like heavy carbs or anything like that. You don't want to eat too heavy of proteins and things like that. That's going to kind of weigh you down or make you sick feeling or anything like that. But you do want to kind of get a little bit of some sugars in you, some nice natural sugars. You know, eat some bananas are really good. You know, if you got coconut, apple is really good. You know, apple is a great energy food. It's better than energy drinks, and it's healthier for you. Any kind of berries, like if you like raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, lingonberries, any kind of berry is really good too. You just want to kind of get that sugar content in so it can go into glucose so it could fire your brain. You know, so it just kind of gives you that energy. Now, a lot of times, either during training or after training, what I usually do then is I make sure, number one, that I hydrate. You know, you want to make sure that you're staying hydrated through your training, but you also want to make sure that when you're done training that you hydrate. So for me, like when I'm training, you know, it's very common. We always got a whole gallon of water because sometimes, you know, we'll put down a gallon of water. If you come out and train with us at the immersion training camp in 2021, which is our 5-day training camp that I put on once a year, like you'll easily go through 1.5 gallons to 2 gallons of water per day. So what I typically do is I do right after training, I make sure that I hydrate, and then I make sure that I replenish my salt. I make sure that I replenish, get those electrolytes going back in. So, you know, not too much salt, but just enough salt, or like lemon, you know, squirt some lemon juice into your water or something like that. So that way, you know, a little pinch of salt so you can get the electrolytes back up in your body. And then from there, I'll eat fiber, so a lot of greens, stuff like that, just to kind of get everything working. And then I'll start eating some of the proteins and things for the repairing of the body. But, you know, so it kind of just depends. Like when we're training intensively at ITC for like 10 to 12 hours a day, you know, you're going to have to eat a little bit of something in the morning to get yourself some energy. You'll probably have to re-energize somewhere around like noon, 1 o'clock. And then at dinner, man, you're going to pig out at dinner. It won't matter what you eat by that point. You'll be so calorie depleted, you're just going to want to get anything you can. So that's a good question right there. Could you give us knives and sticks drills? Yeah, we could do some knife and some stick stuff. Watching from work on my lunch. Nice. Watching from California, from Scotland, Texas, Ohio. Yeah, Victoria. Yeah. Well, I kind of said that like on the Facebook today that I'll try to go live on YouTube. You know, I'm going to try and do some more training stuff here on YouTube. So we're going to get going here in just a couple minutes here. From Oklahoma, what's happening? How does the karambit drills work? If you were able to demonstrate it, thank you. If you can show all the angles. So I don't have a karambit with me. I don't usually have a karambit with me because I don't, you know, I used to train a lot of karambit, especially back in like my Salat days. But I don't really work with a karambit too much nowadays. It's just not my, it's just, I'm not a big like personal fan of it. But the angles, as far as the angles go, it works just like any other angles because it's, I'll kind of show you guys some of the stuff when we get to some of the knife stuff. You know, angles are just angles. You're looking at geometry then. You're looking at math. So it doesn't really matter as far as what you have in your hands. Angles are angles. Love the double stick drills. Nice, nice. You guys, I'm really excited about the Raya and the Last Dragon movie. So I'm excited to see how Raya is going to be working her double sticks when the movie comes in. Pacific Northwest, UK. Tell about exercises to improve wrist flexibility. Nice. We'll do that. I'll do that with the stick stuff today. And then reverse grip on knives. We'll work some reverse grip on the knife stuff. Nice. So we had someone went ahead and stated, let's do some knife and some stick stuff. So we just got the two things that we'll work on today. For the stick stuff, we'll go ahead and work some of the wrist flexibility on the stick stuff, and then we'll go ahead and work some of the reverse knife stuff, and we'll work some of that stuff in there. That sounds like a good training session to me. Nice, Saudi Arabia. You caught me live. Nice, Washington. Oh no, math, I'm screwed. You know what, man? Like, Kali really helped me get a lot better at math, believe it or not. Like, I always kind of liked math when I was in school and stuff, but sometimes, like, especially when you start getting into, like, trigonometry and calculus and stuff like that, like, I had a really hard time with that. But Kali, for some reason, like, training Kali, it's really helped me with my math. It's got me a lot faster at it, too. Heaven 6. Left and right hand coordination. I would have never learned how to use double sticks without your videos, bro. Nice, man. Yeah, keep training. You know, I'll keep putting out a lot of double stick stuff out there. Double stick is, it's a lot of fun. Are you able to demonstrate the hourglass footwork from all angles so I can get better? From all angles, you mean like camera angles or angles of the hourglass? Greetings from Egypt. I want to go to Egypt so bad. That's like one of my main. Egypt and Spain. I kind of want to go to Antarctica too. Just to say I've been there, just for a second. Can you try mixing abanico in with double stick drills? Yeah, I did a video not too long ago where I put some abanico stuff, some Watique stuff in some double stick stuff. Oh, camera angles. All right, we'll see. We'll see what we can get. What we can get through and everything. All right, so let's take a look. Let's first take a look at the stick and how we can use that to help increase wrist flexibility. That's a good warm up, and then we'll go ahead and go into some reverse knife stuff. All right, let's work that a little bit. Greetings from Germany. Nice. All right, so wrist flexibility, guys. This is actually a really, really important thing to make sure that you are always working on. You want to make sure you are maintaining wrist flexibility, and you want to make sure you are always working on improving your wrist flexibility when it comes to Kali, because there's so much strain on it. But when it comes to the wrist flexibility, you know, when you're working this flexibility here, you're working all those connective tendons from the hand to the forearm. And, you know, this is right here. This is where people's grip burns out right here. And so we want to work that flexibility because that's going to help develop not only strength, but to really stabilize what's going on here in the forearm and start building that endurance for the grip. It's really, really important that we have that endurance being built up. So we want to make sure that we are increasing flexibility, maintaining flexibility, and then always working towards increasing it. So, okay, so when we grip the stick here at Kali Center, okay, we grip the stick about 1 fist length up the stick. Okay, and the reason why we do that is when you have a properly balanced bolo for full manipulation, okay, the properly balanced bolo for full manipulation is going to have about 1 fist length from the bottom of the puño up. So I know some bolos are designed where like you hold it way down here and things like that, but there's a lot of different manipulations when it comes to the blade. It's not just like the slash. There's different types of slashes. There's different types of thrusts, right? You have your floretes, your dobletes, your wetiques. You have a lot of different things that are going on. So you want to make sure that the blade or the weapon that you're using has the proper balance point so you have good manipulation and articulation so that way you can generate and control momentum. Okay? That's a big thing that is not talked about too much in martial arts, in my experience, is the generation and the controlling of momentum. Okay, so that's why we grip the stick 1 fist length up. Hopefully that makes sense. So 1 fist length up. That's going to make sure we have enough momentum on the upper third of that weapon to start generating that wrist to come around and give us that good flexibility exercises. So the first exercise that we begin everybody off with for the wrist conditioning is just make sure that we're getting those forward wrist rotations in. Now, when we do these forward wrist rotations, you're going to notice 2 primary things. Well, 3 primary things. Number 1, the stick is rotating to the outside of the forearm, okay, the outside of your body. We do not do these coming inwards because at some point, right, you got to be able to do this with the blades. And you don't want this to be coming inwards for obvious reasons, right? So we're coming on the outside. That's number 1. Number 2, you're going to notice that my grip is a full grip. I'm not opening the hand, okay? If I'm opening the hand, you see how I'm losing the rotation in the wrist? If I got the hand closed, now you can see I'm getting a full rotation in the wrist. The momentum of that upper third of the weapon, of the stick right here, is what's helping my wrist go all the way over. Okay, if you don't have that in there, it kind of feels a little awkward. So you want to add that momentum. So now you can really get that thing moving. All right, that's the first 2 parts. Weapon is rotating on the outside of the body, and the hand, the grip, is closed. You're not white knuckling this thing. It's just closed enough so that way it's just fully closed and you got a good secured grip on the stick so it doesn't fly out of your hand. The third aspect you're going to see is how high my hand is. Okay? You're going to see how it's right in line or roughly in line with my shoulder. The farther we go down, we start losing range of motion up here until you got more flexibility. And obviously, if you start going up here and stuff, you start putting a little bit of strain. You're still going to start putting strain up in the shoulder, in the ligaments and things in the shoulder. So the hand is roughly right there in line with the shoulder. So you're going to see how there's this little triangle right here from shoulder to hand to elbow, the 3 joints, right? Shoulder, wrist, and elbow. Okay. So one thing with Kali is that there's going to be a whole bunch of different, all kinds of triangles everywhere. Everywhere. As I'm rotating it, you're probably seeing the forward triangle. Okay? So there's all kinds of triangles going on. And that's when you know you're doing things right. As you have triangles, and then you have circular rotations. Okay? Because that's how rotations work. Okay? So you're going to work that. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Hit the thumbs up, man. Like the video. You guys can send some super chats if you want. All right, so from there, that's what we got. That's the first drill. Now, you want to make sure you do this on both sides. So make sure you get your left hand going as well. Okay? And if you can't go fast in the beginning, that's fine. Don't worry about the speed, okay? You really just want to focus on making sure you got good rotation and enough momentum to carry your wrist around. Okay? Now, in the beginning, if you have tight wrists, it might look like this. Just keep training. Just keep doing the exercise, and over weeks and months, you're going to start to increase that flexibility. It takes time, all right? You got to train. You got to do it every single day. So, there's the first drill. That's the first one. Then we're going to do a forward and reverse rotation. Okay? So we're going to go forward and reverse, just like this. Forward and reverse. Forward and reverse. Boom, 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 boom. Bop, 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 bop. Right there. Now, there's a key ingredient to that. Okay? When we rotate this forward, which we already did those, we stop the tip of the weapon right in line with the bridge of our nose. Okay, very important that we do that. See how it's right in line? I got to go with the camera. If I look at the middle of my phone, it looks off, right? So I got to go right to the camera. So when we rotate this, boom, it's right there, right on line with the bridge of our eyes, bridge of our nose. And then we go one rotation back, and I want you to touch this full chamber because we're going to start working the pectoral, the lats, the shoulder, the delts, right? We're going to be working all of this to warm it up. Boom. Boom. So go ahead, give it a stop, and then rotate it back. Forward, and then that back edge is going to come back again. See how it's going to the outside of my forearm? And again, my wrist, look real carefully, my wrist is closed. Okay? I am not opening like this because you're losing rotation. You're cheating yourself. I don't care if you want to cheat the drill because that's just going to, when you cheat a drill in Kali, it's not like you're going to like, you know, if you cheat, if you're in school and you cheat on a test and you're cheating it with somebody that is like really, really good and you're going to cheat and get an A, Kali doesn't work that way. If you're cheating yourself, you're hurting yourself, okay? That's just how it is. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're doing this stuff as precisely as possible. Okay? So, these movements right here, are actually, there's fighting applications to these movements right here. They're a little bit advanced, but they're in there. Boom, right there. You're striking down with that main edge, and then you pick it up with that top edge. So there's actually fighting applications to that. All right, so work that out on the right hand. Boom. Okay? And then you can also work this out on the left hand. Okay? If you kind of work your way down the stick, if you're here, and you work your way, I got to loosen it up a little bit, and you work your way down like that, just chamber it underneath, re-grip it, and go again. Okay? Just like that. Nice and simple. Okay? So those 2 exercises right there are really, really, really good to start off with. I'll give you guys a few other ones. That way we get the other rotations of the wrist. From Canada, can you show some arm locks and ground restraint holds? I can't do that today because I'm by myself. The guy from Poland, I started practice to healing myself. It's a great therapy as well. Yes, it absolutely is. Where is Crazy Joe been? I don't know, man. He's left Collie Center to go live his own life, I guess. I don't know. Thumbs up for sure. Thank you. Are you able to show how a hammer fist hubud and back fist hubud work? Oh, like angle 1 and angle 2? Yeah, it works the same as slap and hack. It's just you just either have the hand open or closed. It's the same. If you grab my knife DVD download, the hubud is in there. You just take the knife out of your hands and go with a hammer fist. There's no cheating. Who judges? Shorter stick is a little more difficult. The shorter stabs will... Yes, that is absolutely true. Shorter sticks are more difficult. Like, you know, you're not going to be doing these rotations with a little knife like this. I mean, you can, right? But it's just not going to give you momentum. So you want something that's going to give you good momentum. Now, you can, okay, you can do this, you know, with the spear work and all that as well. We don't start people off this way because sometimes it generates so much momentum that if your wrists are not already conditioned, if they don't have the flexibility, the strength, and the endurance, then sometimes that's an overload and it can strain your wrists, and then you're kind of like out of training for a week or two. But when the rattan stick, the regular stick, is not really enough, I mean, you're still going to use it as a warm-up, but you're not really getting that kind of conditioning training out of it. Then we go into the longer stabs, spears, and just things like that. So I'll do this with my spear, you know, even with the tip on the end of it like that, you know. And, you know, so you can work that so that way there's extra resistance and things. But again, if you're just starting these exercises, start with the stick. Do not start that off with the staff. All right? Otherwise, you'll be feeling it in the morning, and then you'll probably be like, I can't train. I can't hold on to my, my sticks. Yeah, if the hand is open, there is a risk of losing the weapon. You don't want to lose the weapon when you are fighting with the weapon. That would not be cool. These drills are awesome. Thanks. Yeah, man, absolutely. Can you show some thrusting attacks? I can. In one-handed drills, I notice trainers catch their bicep with the other hand, and my Sifu does that too. What is that? Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So you're talking about, you know, when you're here, right, you see this, like you start seeing this slapping type of motion, right, in Kali, and people are like, why are you doing that? And you're swatting flies. Okay, so what that actually is, so a lot of people, like, you know, when I was training in Jeet Kune Do and I didn't really know the answer to this, there were all kinds of weird things, you know, weird answers and reasons why you do it. But there's actually a true answer to that question. So here's the answer to that question is that, you know, the hand does not go to the bicep. The bicep is going to the hand. And the reason why that happens is because this is the first position of the left hand, okay? A lot of times in Kali, like I've had a few comments on some videos before that this hand was too low. It should be up here. It can't be up there. Okay, you cannot strike efficiently with this hand up there to protect your head. Okay, weapons and empty hands are very different things. So by the time you get into like a Spadia Daga, you probably don't want your knife to be right here because one, you might hit yourself, and two, you're going to cut yourself. So this position, it's not really there. But you do have the position that's right here. Okay, now with the knife, you don't stay here. It has to be able to move into positions. But the first left-hand position is right here at the plexus. Okay, it's right there. So when you strike your angle 1, okay, when you strike your angle 1, because of that left hand being right here, it's just catching the bicep from the momentum because of the way that the hand is. You just don't want your hand to be here and then your bicep just smashes into your hand, because it's not, it's not doing anything then. You're losing the function of this left hand. So when it's here, you see how that hand remains open? So it's ready to go. That's all that is. It's not a momentum thing, okay? I mean, there is a little bit of like fulcrum hitting and things like that, but it's not like a momentum thing. It's not like a weird whatever. It's just because the left hand, it's just in position 1. So when you strike it through, the bicep is just right there. Instead of like having this thing closed and then you're basically like punching your bicep, you just catch it with that open hand because it's coming in so fast. And that's all it is. You're just kind of padding that because it's the bicep that is padding the hand, not the hand trying to pat the bicep. Okay? That's all that is. So true, I messed up my wrist using a heavy bow staff years back. Still not 100% back a decade. Yeah. So, you want to make sure you're training progressively, and yeah, don't go too crazy, especially in the beginning. Nice, you're watching my videos 24/7 on YouTube. Fantastic. I like that. I'll push out more videos for you. I'll keep you busier. Introduce the double stick, short, nice. Why did I start Kali? So I started Kali when I was 15 years old. My teachers at the time used the term Escrima. So they actually used the term Escrima. It was backyard training. I kind of fell into it just by chance. I had a friend of mine in high school that was all into it and stuff like that. And I went over to his uncle's house and they were training. And that was my start. Why did I continue with it? Because it's the coolest martial art to me that I ever came across, because we get to train with, we get to train with weapons first. And we're training with like swords and knives and spears and sticks and like shields, and I mean, you name it, we're doing it. I mean, how much more of a Ninja Turtle can you actually get, like right out of the gate of martial arts training, right? I mean, that's just cool. Yeah. Take my advice, guys. Start with a piece of rattan when you're doing these exercises, all right? So you got the first exercise, which is forward wrist rotations. Making sure you're focusing on those 3 points, rotating to the outside, closed grip, and the hand is in line with the shoulder. So you got this triangle right here going on. Work that off on both sides. And then the second drill was a forward and back rotation, okay? Making sure that we stop the tip right on line with our bridge. So you're going to see this bigger triangle now, and then bring it back. And then touch that chamber, right? You want to touch that back because you're working out everything in the torso, okay? And then do the same thing on the other side. Boom, boom, right there, okay? Those are your first 2 exercises. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys another exercise so you can start working the horizontal rotation of the wrist. We're just going to look at using our watiks. Some styles will call this abanicos. Abanico means fan. Watik means flick. Okay? I guess they might have some different translations according to different dialects. However, that's kind of like how it works. So, you are fanning the weapon here, and you are also flicking them. So they're interchangeable. Right? It's the same technique. So what we're doing here is we're working in our number 1 watik and our number 2 watik, okay? And we're just going to work this side by side. And you're going to see how in the beginning you may have to go right to the 0 like this, right to the center line, if that's all the flexibility that you have, and that's fine. Just keep going, and over time it'll become more flexible. However, when you do these drills, when you do these movements, again, make sure that you have a full grip on the stick, okay? You want a full grip on the stick so that way you can control that momentum. If you start to loosen, especially, on the pinky side, but if you start loosening your grip, you're going to get over rotation on that number 1 Watique. Okay, and then you can start feeling some strain right here on that on the ligament going down the ulna nerve, the ulna bone. So you don't want to have a loose grip here. You want to have a full grip. Okay, and make sure you see how my whole body and my whole arm, my elbow, everything is coming across. Make sure that you're doing that. Don't just sit here like this and use your arm like this, because you're going to overload the tendons on these horizontal lines and you're going to cause strain in your tendons there. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're doing the mechanics correctly. You know, this is a very small part of the body, and everything that this part of the body is doing, your wrist, it needs to support the whole support system of the rest of the body. That's why we have proper structure position when we're doing our rotations forward and back. And that's why we have the proper structure position when we're doing our side to side, just like this. Okay? So now we're up. Now look how high my hand is. We're not way down here doing this either. Okay? You don't want to accidentally hit yourself in the face. Okay? So we're up here. Boom, boom, boom. And you're going to get some good conditioning in that grip on that horizontal. Yeah, so just work those out. There's 3 really good drills for you. Forward rotations, forward and back, and then your 1 and 2 Watiques. Okay? And just start nice and slow with them, and then just gradually build that up over time. That mystery is finally solved. Yeah, it's not really anything mysterious about that, you know. It's just kind of, a lot of people don't actually know that answer, but in Kali, it's just the first position of the left hand. You know, that's all it is. So, you know, because you're coming over, that's it. You can kind of do the same thing anytime you come across, you know, on that forehand strike. Right there, right there. It's just because it's there, so that's it. Don't do that when you have a knife in the left hand, though. You got to know how to maneuver the knife. Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I wouldn't really agree with that. It's not really there to stop the momentum of a power strike. Having the proper mechanics, okay, the chamber position and understanding the return of the strike and how it returns to the chamber position, that's what controls the momentum of the power strike. You're not really looking to necessarily stop the momentum of the power strike. You want that energy to transfer, to rotate over into the next strike. So, you know, it's not, you know, you're not cutting it short or anything like that. Okay? You're just using the mechanics of the body as far as the speed and the power generation and the control of that, of those things. So here, let me bring this over here. So even if I got Bob here, right? Like when we start putting resistance in the strikes, meaning we're starting to hit something, we don't need to, you know, this isn't doing anything as far as the momentum or what. You're just striking this thing through. The strike is going to rotate all the way to the next chamber position, right there. That's what you want. So that way, now that rotation into the second chamber position, that's where you're actually launching that thing out of. So it's not, you know, you're not trying to push off your bicep. When you're doing a dos manos supported strike, then that's going to slide up to the forearm right here. Boom. Then you can come out with that. But it doesn't, This isn't really doing anything about the momentum. It really isn't. It's just, there's the power. There's the power. 1, 2. Because, you know, when you're here, let me show you guys. Here's how I'm going to break that myth. That myth is going to be broken because of a spotty adaga, right? You can't keep this here on a spotty adaga. You can't catch that because you're gonna be cutting yourself. So this has to be able to slide, right? So you're still here. 1, 2, right there. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's where the power is coming from, is the mechanic. So it doesn't really have anything to do with that. I mean, it really doesn't. It's good question though. Yeah, I have spear instruction. Go check out the spear videos on the YouTube channel. That's a good place to start. How long is your sticks? What is the best length you recommend? My stick is 28 inches long. So I like 27 inches the most, but I'm not going to sit there and just cut all my sticks down an inch. So 28 inches, that's what I train with. Typically about 7/8 of an inch in diameter. So, well, what's the length for you? It just depends on the style and the system that you're training. You know, most standard sticks in Kali are between 26 and 29 inches. Can I show you how it's beneficial in street fights? Well, I'm not in a street fight right now, so I don't know how I'd be able to do that. The best way to get any of this stuff to be beneficial for you if you're worried about street fights and self-defense and all that stuff is you got to train, man. You got to train it and you got to make it functional. You know, I mean, like watching YouTube videos and DVDs and stuff like that, you know, going to seminars and not doing the training, no functional martial arts is going to be beneficial to you then if you're not doing the training, if you're not doing the work and developing the skills yourself. You know, but I mean, in a street fight, don't you think that's pretty functional? That shot right there, you know, right here, right across the eyeballs, that's pretty functional. I mean, you know, you take that shot to the hand, boom, right there, it's pretty functional. But you got to know how to navigate terrain. So come train with me, man. Then I can show you all day long if you're training with me. Come out to ITC. Come out and train with us for 5 days. The polysoot drill. Yeah, so there's a lot of weird different variations of drills that came out at, you know, at some point, but polysoot, the actual polysoot is actually on the knife, is drawing the knife. It's not actually, it's, you know, every style and stuff, they started doing different things and whatever, but it's there because you're learning how to draw the knife. That's what the polysoot drills are actually teaching, or are supposed to be teaching, is the knife drawing. This Dirty Bob, man, he's a good training partner. Ooh. This tripod is not the best. I learned how to spin a staff yesterday because of one of your videos. Yeah, dude. That's fun stuff, man. It's good conditioning. That's also really good for the wrist flexibility and the wrist endurance and strength, is doing staff spins. You know, I remember back in the day when like people used to be making fun of that stuff, like in the Kali world and JKD world and all that, like the worlds I was always a part of. So I ignored a lot of that, but man, I wish I would have spent a lot more time on that, especially early on, because it's really improved my grip strength. It's improved my endurance. It's improved my flexibility. Those are really good conditioning drills. You know, I wouldn't say that they're, you know, fight functional, but you got to make yourself fight functional, right? I'll tell you guys this. Here's one of the best exercises. If you guys are concerned about self-defense and street fight applications and applications of your martial arts, here's what you want to do. Grab a bar and start doing some pull-ups, man. Boom. 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 I got a hawk flying over my head right now. That's one of the best things you can do right there. You want good striking mechanics? Do a whole bunch of pull-ups. You could also do these ones too. These ones are really good too. Commando pull-ups. Touch your shoulder. Touch your shoulder. Touch your shoulder. Touch your shoulder. Bam. Okay? Those exercises right there are going to give you more power, bam, in your striking mechanics. What muscle group initiates your striking mechanics? There's two muscle groups. Oh, just the coordination help for that left hand? Yeah, that it does. But it doesn't help the coordination of the strike. The coordination of the strike only comes from understanding the actual mechanics that are the optimal mechanics to be striking our weapons as the human body has been engineered. So this doesn't really have anything to do with that, just because, you know, the first position, second position, third position, right? Like you can still strike here, you can still strike here, and you can still strike there with the same amount of power. So it's not really there for, like, you know, anything, you know, it's a position there. Ooh, I saw the answer to it. Yeah, that's the first one. Explanations are on the point. So interesting that some of us have forgotten to like. That's all right. The training is more important than hitting a thumbs up, honestly. We're here to train, man. We're here to work out. You know, I'm here to answer some training questions and stuff. So that to me, honestly, is more important than the thumbs up. I appreciate all the thumbs up. Some people I know say they only use the slapping to stop the momentum when they use something heavier as a weapon. Let them say, man. People are going to say all kinds of things. Stick on the head is always functional. Yeah, it is. It doesn't matter if you're street fighting that or you're fighting in the grass, man. Sometimes you fight in the street, sometimes you fight in the grass. Grass fighting. Is that functional for grass fighting? Can you show the Sinawali drill 8 count Lacosta and one variation? The Lacosta 8? So the Lacosta 8 is the same thing as the lower 8 in Pikiti Tertia. So you got to think, where did it really come from? But it is just the mechanics of the body. You know, when you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right there, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right here. So, you know, you just start putting in your footwork to it. Boom, 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 right? And then you start to travel with it, and then you start to range out with it. You know, that's all that is. But then, you know, what's the fighting tactics of that? It's probably more of a Pikiti Tertia drill than it is a Lacosta drill, because, like, if you train Pikiti Tertia, then you should know what that actually translates to, right? What method is that? If you train Pikiti Tertia, what method is that? And what's the relation, right? From the single stick, from the single weapon, what's the relation to the lower 8, right? What's that actual tactic? What's the related drill, combat flow drill, and all that stuff to it? If you're training Pikiti Tertia, then you should know that. Especially if you're certified. If you're certified, then you should know that, right? Because it's really, really basic. Like, really basic. How long a knife for Kali? How long of a knife you got, man? What do you got? Yes, having something for impact training is important. It absolutely is. Bob is okay. I've got Bob here just because I've had him and stuff, but the best thing for Kali is just a stack of tires. You can hit it with anything and you'll never have to replace it. That's the best. And you got some good resistance. So it's like hitting a human torso, but like on steroids. So if you can start slashing all the way through the stack of tires, hitting a human body is nothing. It's like cutting Jello. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You know, there's a lot of similarities between the arts. You know, when you're looking at like Kali, you're looking at Japanese arts and Korean arts and Chinese arts and Thai arts. You know, there's a lot of similarities to these things. You know, when you're looking at like the chamber, you know, we got our angle 1, and you're starting to look at Krabi Krabong, and you got your 1. But this is actually a number 1 chamber as well. It's just a thrust guard. So, you know, whether it's Krabi, whether it's Japanese, you know, whatever, whether it is Kumdo, whether it is Kali, right? The mechanics are the mechanics, you know. That's what makes these martial arts so interesting to me. You know, one of the things when I'm trying to compare martial arts, I'm not really looking for the differences in arts. I'm always trying to look for what's the similarities in the arts. Because it's all based on, you know, the human body anatomy, right? I mean, we're all functioning the same way. So, you know, it's always really cool to me. You know, the training methods, you know, the methods behind the culture and stuff, that stuff might be different. There might be a few differences in things, but as far, you know, a diagonal is a diagonal. A vertical is a vertical. A horizontal is a horizontal, right? Linear footwork is linear footwork. Traversing is traversing, regardless of what style of martial arts that you train in, right? It doesn't matter if it's Filipino, Japanese, Korean, if it's whatever it is, Native American, the angles are the angles. Math is math. It's universal, you know? So that's cool. I'm new to Kali sparring. I'm told to focus on protecting the center line. Do you have recommendations, drills for footwork, weapon control? Because love the channel. Yeah, so that's a complicated one to you know, when you're starting to talk about things that are implementing range and timing and momentum and things like that, calculation of timing, regulation of timing. You know, it isn't just about the center line, right? So you have the center line. Let me bring us back to Bob here because this might be a little bit easier because, you know, Bob is a good visual. Sorry, guys, we didn't get to the knife stuff yet, but all of this can translate to the knife stuff, by the way. So, right, let me just kind of give you some basics. I can't give you everything on this, but I can give you some basics of understanding. So you have the 0 degrees, and I'm sure your instructor is probably actually meaning 0 degrees. Our definition of center line is different here at Kali Center than most martial arts. So our definition of center line is shoulder width, shoulder and hip distance. So our body, this whole thing is what we refer to as center line. So when we're maneuvering our footwork, if I'm traversing, I have to clear that hip and shoulder distance. If I only get off of the 0 degrees, then my right shoulder is still in center line, and I am still in the follow-through of a follow-through strike without my opponent having to readjust. So, I'm going to say it as, you know, your teacher's probably referring to what we refer to as 0 degrees. Most martial arts refer that as the center line. So, yes, you need to protect this center line, but you also have to understand where the broken line is at. And this is the bridging line. This is the line that's going to gauge, you know, where's the measure of ranges. Long range, out of measure, and corto, and then extreme corto, right? Like, where is that line at? And you got to know where that broken line is. So when you have that 0 degrees, when it intersects and meets that broken line right there, that's the point that you have to be able to protect, but that's also the point that you're calculating. So that way you can either work your counter in, or better, you can work your offensive attack in. So if you're not really working and triggering these 2 points to line up, kind of like these crosshairs, then it's going to be very, very difficult, because then your footwork, you're not able to quite measure how much you need to navigate to protect against certain tactics, and then follow up and renegotiation of tactics and things like that. So there are a lot of drills. The short answer to that, because there's so much involved with that, would be to honestly get in our Inner Triangle program. So right now our Inner Triangle program is closed for new members, but if it's something that you're interested in, go to collegecenter.com on the email page and email me, and then let me know that this was your question. And then as you're training through that material, that's going to help you out massively, because that's what we do. That's what we specialize in. I hope that kind of makes sense. It's, there's a lot entailed in that. I would train with dumbbells. They use more muscles and help your balance. Yeah, any free weight's good. Dumbbells, kettlebells, calisthenics are really, really good. To train balance, like pistol squats are really good. Train your footwork on different types of terrain. So, whatever you like, when it comes to your fitness, just make sure that you're getting some kind of fitness training in. That's really what's important. And make sure that it's something that you enjoy. You got to increase your athleticism in your training, in your Kali performance. I've had some discussions with other, martial artists and Kali practitioners and stuff, and they're like, oh, you don't need any of that. But, those guys aren't training with us. And when you're training with us and you have to go on a duration of flowing for 5-6 hours straight, that athleticism is going to help you. Because I'm training my athleticism, Tom is training his athleticism, Ollie's training his athleticism. All of our guys train that way, and it makes a massive, massive difference in your performance ability. So make sure that you are adding fitness, whatever it is. If you like dumbbells, kettlebells, calisthenics, you like a little bit of everything. You like to go for runs. I do my sprints all the time. I got my hill over here, so I get to sprint up, across, and then down on the other side, and then back, and that's one lap. So, just work it out, man. Work it out. Do some balance training, do some yoga, do some restorative. It's all really, really good. The lats and the trap. The traps should not be part of the initiation of the strikes. Okay? The lats are correct, but there's a different muscle group that assists the lats in the initiation. The traps and the delts and the tricep and all that is assisting the actual arm itself, the extremity, but that's not assisting the initiation of the strike. All right, that's not firing that. Do barbell rows help with lat power? Yes. So anytime that you're working the back, right, you got to work your lats coming this way. You got to work your lats coming here. So, work your lats, work your laterals. All these things are going to be very, very important. You want to develop the lat, because when you're striking out like this, okay, both of your lats should be firing when you're striking in rotation. Okay, if you're looking at maximizing power, okay, the power comes from the rotation of the torso. Okay, so, right, it's kind of like a car. Think about it like a car. Just because the car has horsepower, that doesn't mean it's just going to automatically have that good pull to it, right? You still need to balance that out with the proper amount of torque. And even though we're putting horsepower on that stick, right, like right here, okay, that's horsepower. But I need torque to go along with that horsepower. So I got that good pulling energy, that power behind that. So that's where being able to, fire the lats out, that's very, very important, because that's going to generate that rotation in it. So yeah, anything that you're doing to exercise the lats, you want to do that. Along with your coordinated striking, make sure you are focusing on coordination and you are properly using all of the striking mechanics. Okay, there are 12 striking mechanics, guys. There are 12 striking mechanics that you want to make sure are dialed in to, that way, 12 principles. So that way you have good striking mechanics. Okay, very, very, very important. A super chat. I'm going to get to that here in a minute. Uh-oh. Don't want to do that. Breathing while drilling. That's a very good question, too. I actually don't get asked that too often until people are getting tired. And then they're like, I got to work my cardio. I'm like, no, you're just fine because you're still standing, so your heart is okay. You got to work your breathing. You got to work your oxygen flow through your blood. So that is a very, very good question. So how do you breathe? So first of all, when you are out of measure, when there's not really a lot going on, you want to regulate your breathing and keep your breathing as kind of normal as possible, even when that heart rate is up, because you got to reserve fuel. When you're actually striking, you want to exhale on the strike, inhale on the chamber. Right here, okay? It's just like kettlebells. So if you train with kettlebells, you're going to be training the exact same breathing patterns that you want in your Kali. Exactly the same. Same breathing patterns, same type of breathing techniques. But that's the general rule, okay? The general rule. Now, you could still gas out because you may not be getting enough oxygen in if you're trying to throw like a 12 or 17 strike combination. So you got to kind of time it. There's some timing rules and all kinds of things that we teach to make sure that you're not only preserving your fuel, but you're also preserving your tactics and things as well, and your protection. But that's the general rule. Exhaling on the strikes and inhaling on the chambers. Okay, so inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So if you're kind of working that, that's going to help you out a lot. When you're doing your footwork and you're just kind of moving around, okay, then you're just exhaling on the extension of the feet and inhaling when your feet are underneath your hips. Right here, okay? And even when you're inhaling, you still want to keep your core slightly engaged. The core always, 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 always stays slightly engaged. It should never be relaxed. That's a good question. I train live, but watch your videos because you really dissect and explain the moves. Yeah, man, because I want you guys to learn, man. I want you guys to be training. I want you guys to get really good, man. Get some good skills so that one day we're training together, man, and we can just train. My goal for my students, guys, is to be able to one day, I'll be training with you and be like, and just look at you and be like, I got nothing left, man. I got nothing left to teach you. Let's just train, man. It's just me and you now. It's no longer teacher-student. It's just two homies, man, just training. That's my goal, man. I want to get all my students and everybody up to that, because it's just fun that way, and get into the chess game and all that. Nice, man. Heading out. Thanks for hanging out with me for a while, man. I appreciate it. I'm gonna be jetting out too in a little bit because we're coming up on an hour. How do you even move freely with double sticks while using footwork at the same time? Short answer, a lot of training, man. A lot of training. There's no easy answer to that. So, you got to spend time with all the drills, and you got to break them down and go slow. Take your time and train every single day. I've been training every single day on Kali since I was 15 years old. So it's been a long time now. Well, they claim that I myself have never felt the need to stop the motion. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think people aren't really training in a way where they're thinking about the physics, right? They're not thinking about the physics, the science behind it. They're not really thinking about the mathematics behind it, the anatomy of it. So, sometimes people, when they're teaching, you got to remember too that a lot of people, I used to do this all the time. They're just kind of regurgitating what they learned from somebody else. And, you know, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but that's a very beginner way to be teaching. And if you are always doing that, to me, that would mean that that teacher's not really training anymore. You know, they're not really training to explore further and stuff like that. So for me personally, you know, I would dequalify that person to be my personal teacher at this point in my life. Before, you know, I mean, you try to train with everybody, you know, and you're learning. You got to learn all the different things that you can learn, you know. And then you got to make sure you're doing your training and you're investigating the questions and the answers and then the different possibilities to those answers and things like that. So a lot of my answers to your guys' questions, they don't come from past teachers of mine. They come from me literally training every single day. I mean, even if it's, you know, 3 hours a day or 6 hours a day or whatever, you know, I mean, that's where it comes from. You know, it's just the system of Kali itself. You know, this the great system of weaponry and human body conditioning and anatomy and all that stuff. You know, that's where the answers come from, is from training, you know. So I don't know, man. Everybody kind of is, you know, they just kind of do their own thing. Can you show all the Japanese angles for the sword strikes? Well, when we're talking about mathematics, there's only 3 angles because we live in a 3-dimensional world, right? There's diagonals, there's horizontals, and there's verticals. You know, or you have like verticals and horizontals, which is, you know, the Y and the Z axis, and then you have diagonals, which is the X axis. So that's the only 3 angles. There's variations of how you can strike on those angles, but those are the only angles, no matter if it's Filipino, Japanese, or whatever. We live in the 3rd dimension, guys. That's just how it is. There's no secret to that. Oh, nice. The super chat. Sup? I wish I got to work out now, but I have sore joints and under tests. So far, they think I have Lyme disease. When I heal, I'll start doing martial arts again. Oh, yeah, man. If you got Lyme disease, that's tough. That's a tough one, man. But, you know, just stay at it. You know, just stay at it. So, yeah, that's a tough one, you know. But, you know, work on something else too. So while you are, you know, fighting that battle and things and you're healing up and getting yourself back up and everything, that's a good time to be working on other things too, you know. So if you can't utilize your body how you want to, that's a good time to start training this, right? Start thinking about your training a little bit differently. Start doing some research and things like that. And just, you know, start looking into like the science and the physics and the mathematics and, you know, start reading like Aristotle and Marcus Aurelius and all those guys and start training this part. Because this is huge when it comes to your performance in martial arts. So, you know, even though it sucks and it's just like a really crappy place to be in when you're fighting, especially if it is like a Lyme disease or something like that. But, you know, you can also kind of take a look at that and be like, you know, it is Lyme disease. It is curable, right? You're going to get through it. So also use that as a time where it's like, you know what, I can look at this as a positive and I can look at this to strengthen, you know, another area that needs to be trained and that needs to be worked. And a lot of times that's our mind or emotional self, you know, things like that. So, you know, and then you'll be back at it, man. You'll be back at it, and you're going to be better than ever. Does Kali have bare-handed techniques if you don't have a weapon in a street fight? Yes, we have empty hands. We still consider those as weapons, though, because you're just taking your hand or your elbow and you're turning it into a weapon. Just like you just take this stick right here. It's just a stick. You turn it into a weapon. Right? A knife is just a tool. It's just a knife. You turn it into a weapon. The elbow is just an elbow. You turn it into a weapon. So our empty hands, we still classify those as a weapon category. How do I do side slashes properly? Don't know how you number that angle. Like horizontal slashes? Like horizontals? Right here? It's the same mechanics. There's just no down motion, right? You're just utilizing the the torso on the horizontal plane. The striking mechanics are the same though. Primary protection of center line is a bladed stance. No, I would counter that. The primary protection of the center line is understanding how to navigate off the center line and understanding how to control range and calculate to dominate timing. The bladed position doesn't really protect you, doesn't really do anything as far as the center line goes. The bladed position gives you the more athletic advantage to traverse off of the center line. I wouldn't say it really protects the center line. Skills is what protects the center line. I mean, you could be in the bladed position and still get hit on the center. I wouldn't say that's the primary protection. The primary bladed position here is so that you can navigate off the center line. You can traverse terrain. You have access to what we call, the triangle footwork system a lot more conveniently, like a lot more athletically, faster, more explosive and things. So that's where that bladed position comes from. But I mean, as far as bladed position as your primary protection on center line, I would say it's more of your attribute development and your understanding of range and timing is your primary protection, right? I mean, that it comes down to your skills. Max force at the center line. That's actually not true. The max force is just after the center line. That's where it's at. Max force. So here, I'll give you a little demonstration. Here we have Bob. See, I used to think that until I started looking at physics. I used to think that because that's what I was taught. And then I started reading on physics and stuff like that. And they're like, actually, it's not on the point of zero. It's just across the zero. So, like, if I'm hitting Bob right here on 0 degrees, okay, the max point, if I come off of this just a little bit, I'm going to give him more force right here on the power. Right there. As opposed to if I am right here on 0. Okay? The reason for that is the follow-through of the momentum. It's because now you have that force of momentum that's behind it. So you got to make sure that you're carrying momentum. So there's more force when you're slightly off of 0, which means that you're hitting him. This is where my center line is at. He's just on the other side of that center line. This is what makes forward triangle so powerful. So when we come up on forward triangle, this is why we want that angle. Because now, right, we have all that power come in. We're able to maximize that. Because right here is where that point right there. See, that's where the 0 is. But then I'm continuing to rotate into that. So I'm actually making contact on him just after that center point in the rotation of my body. So maximum force is just on the other side of 0. Physics. And then you have this accelerated loop, right? Like where does the tip of the stick travel at its fastest? You guys know? Now see if you guys can answer that question first. Where does the tip of the stick travel at its fastest speed? I don't think anyone's disrespecting me. They're just asking questions. Core strengths help. Absolutely, you got to work core strength. So, Mitch, that is where the second muscle category is at when you are looking at the initiation. So the initiation of a strike, number 1, comes out of the lats and it comes out of the obliques. Right there. That's where the initiation is at. That's why you always keep your core slightly engaged. Always keep the core slightly engaged. You don't have to be, flexing this thing like, showing off all your crazy abs and stuff. But you do want to make sure this is always slightly engaged. So it's right there. That lat connection right into the obliques, that's the initiation of the strikes. That's where you want it coming from. So it's all coming from the torso. Call knife drill. Maybe I'll do that on the next live. When I come back next time, I'll do some of that Pikal stuff. Can I make a video using the katana or bokken? So traditionally in Kali, we do not use a katana or a bokken. But we still have our short spear and our dos manos. So we have all the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. Horizontal, horizontal, vertical. You have the backhand thrust, the forehand thrust, the center line thrust. So it's all the same, right? You got the teardrop on the forehand side, teardrop on the backhand side, right? You got the backhand vertical, the forehand vertical right here. You have the crown vertical. What do you want? Like that's all it is, right? Just put a bokken in your hand. Just put a katana in your hand. It's the same thing. Good questions. I mean, I don't know. I got to be honest. When I hear questions like that, I would assume you're not really training. Does Kali involve any kicking moves or mostly upper? Yes. So Victoria, go check out my Kali kicks video that I did like a couple of weeks ago. Yes, that's the Sakaran, all the low line kicking. Yeah, the horizontal strikes. Yeah, it's the same mechanics. Boom. You just got a little bit more rotation at the point of contact than you do on the diagonals, right? Because there's a little bit more range that you got to get that to follow through. So you see how you can kind of just start seeing the lat right there? When I'm striking on the diagonals, you'll see how that lat is a little bit more protected. So my flank is a little bit more protected. But the strike on the horizontal, see, now I'm not hitting with that upper third. I got to bring that over just a little bit more. So, you know, you're just make sure you got that good hip and shoulder rotation on those horizontal strikes. Tip moves fastest when crossing the center line. No, that's not the fastest place where the tip of the weapon strikes is at. Now, that can be if you are breaking your wrist early. Yes. So I actually just gave you the answer right there. However, that is, you know, that's not the best thing to do, right? To break your wrist out here on the center line when you don't really know what you're doing about tactics, that's not the best thing to do. Haha. Nice. Can I explain the tomahawk techniques? Yeah, just take an axe head and put it on the tip of the stick, and there you go. Now you got the tomahawk. If you got a little hook or something on the other side, just be careful how you chamber it. And then you got the tomahawk, right? All an axe is a stick with a bladed head on top of it. That's all it is. So you're going to use it the exact same way. Single sword, single stick, single axe, same thing. You got two axes, you're going to use them very similar to two sticks. I think I'm caught up here. This is one of the challenges I like to have when I'm doing these lives. I try to see, like, can I catch up on all of the comments and see if I can get, get all the way to the bottom of the comments? Can I do that? Do I have tomahawk videos? No, but you can just train the stick videos and just have tomahawks in your hands. Finally, he made it to the end. Nice. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, let me give you guys a little Pakal stuff right here. You use sarongs. So we don't really use sarongs just because we don't wear sarongs. But sarongs are part of Kali Area 8. Kali Area 8 is the flexible weapon. So, we'll use our T-shirts, something like that. We'll use belts, rope, things like that. But I have done sarong training back, in the past, especially in my Salat days. But, we don't really do it now because we just don't wear them, So we don't do that. All right, so on the reverse grip, on the Pakal grip right here, I'll give you guys a little drill you can work. Just kind of working some basics. There's not really a whole lot to this stuff. It's not really like, none of this stuff is really rocket science or abstract weird movements and stuff like that. But, it's just, yeah, I'm going to do some videos in the upcoming future on some flexible weapon stuff. All right. I had a little bit of some belt stuff. I just kind of did a couple of the movements and all that in some of my old demo videos, like when I demonstrated all across the different categories of Kali. But on the return. Oh, you're talking about the speed of the stick? Yes. So Morgan was correct at the center line if you break your wrist over at the center line. So the fastest point where the stick travels, if you have correct striking mechanics, is where the wrist breaks over. That's it. Boom. That's what gives you that acceleration. So the most impact, most bang for your buck impact is just on the other side of center line or 0 degrees. And then right here, right as the wrist breaks over, that is where the weapon accelerates. This is the same thing as like the slingshot technique. When you're trying to accelerate, you accelerate around the arc and then you're coming back and you can come back with more speed. Guys, this is just classic physics. This is literally physics 101 with like speed, timing, and momentum. It's like, it blows my mind how many martial artists don't actually like, just study a little bit of physics, guys. Then you don't have to guess answers. All right, so on the Pakal grip. So there's two ways that you can hold the Pakal grip. You can have it with the blade edge on the inside. You could also have it with the blade edge on the outside. There's a reason why you would choose to use the Pakal grip. Now, when it comes to strategically knife fighting, the forward grip is going to give you the advantage of more speed, but you're going to have less power. So when you are fighting knife versus another weapon, like knife versus knife, you're going to want the advantage of speed, right? There's a formula called speed, timing, and power. This is a real scientific formula. Speed is first because speed regulates time. You need speed at the proper time with the proper coordination, which is what's going to equal power, okay? So you have to have that. You need speed to get time, and you need speed to get momentum. And that's how you get power, is when you have the speed and that thing making a collision at the right time. Okay? That's why the combat attributes are speed, timing, and power. Okay? It's classic physics. It's very, very simple physics. Okay? So when you're in the forward grip, you want the advantage of speed. Okay? When you're in the reverse grip, now you're losing some of that speed, but you're gaining a lot more power, right? Because now you got the knife, the blade, the thrust is coming forward. Okay, it's coming down. The primary tactic of the knife is the thrust. It is not the slash. Slash is secondary tactic. Okay, the thrust is primary because the thrust is what ends things very, 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 very quickly. Okay, so when you're in the reverse grip, The primary strategy on the reverse grip is when you have the knife and you are fighting somebody who has empty hands. Or the knife is a secondary weaponry system for weapon retention. So if you're carrying a firearm or something like that, someone grabs your firearm, you secure that, you bring out the knife, and then you cut their hands off of your primary weapon system. That's the whole purpose of the reverse grip, okay? This is why I'm not a big teacher of the karambit, because you are not really gaining a whole lot of speed because of the mechanics of the body, okay? Now, you can get fast with it. There's speed there, but the forward grip is faster. It is faster, okay? So if you're utilizing this as far as, you know, for self-defense or for multiple opponents or something like that, you know, that is the primary tactic or the primary strategy. Reverse grip, fighting someone empty hands, or weapon retention, okay? That's what you're looking for. So if you're looking at the reverse grip for one of those two things, fighting someone who has empty hands or fighting, you know, weapon retention, it would tactically make more sense to have the blade edge on the inside, not on the outside, okay? When you have the blade edge on the outside, you are losing the advantage of the knife for retention. If somebody grabs you, you are under tension. So you need retention, right? You got to get that off of you. And if your blade edge is on the outside, you can't utilize that to cut them and get their hands off of you. And stabbing them is good, but sometimes the thrust, it's a little bit more fine motor skill. So if you miss that thrust and your weapon goes in between, you know, this cut right here, I mean, they might bleed, but it's not the same as if you're in and you're ripping this thing out, right? And you're literally just ripping through their hands. There's so much power when you have your weapon, your arm coming back to your body. Far less power when you are extending your arm away from your body, right? Again, basic physics of the human body. So this is why at Collie Center, you will see me with the blade edge on the inside when I'm in the reverse grip, because I'm fighting someone empty hands, or I'm fighting, or it's weapon retention, or I'm fighting multiple opponents who have empty hands, right? So as their punches come in, I want to lead with the blade edge, cutting my way into the thrusts, cutting at you know, all of their tools coming in. Does that make sense? Instead of my weapon going away from their incoming strikes. Hopefully that makes some sense. So when we're here, right, this is where we start working our thrusts. It's working our 1 and 2 thrusts right here. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. In the beginning, we are working the mechanics. So we're working this full range of motion. However, then you want to begin to start to tighten this up. How do you tighten it up? By keeping the elbow close. Okay, the elbow becomes very close. But don't tighten it up and bring your strikes down here, because then you're not protecting anything. So they got to come up high. Okay? See, now you're ripping through, you're guiding those thrusts with the cutting edge of the knife. Now, if your knife has another edge on the back edge, then whatever. Then you can hold it however you want. You basically have a double-edged knife then. Okay, so then whatever. But if you have a single-edged knife, you want to be leading your strikes with the edge. Same thing when you're in the forward grip, right? You're leading your strikes with the edge of the blade. Okay, you're not going to hold a forward grip with the blade facing up like this and going away, right? Probably not. So on the reverse grip, that's where it makes most sense. Why did this happen? I don't know. People are like, I'm going to slash the throat. Whatever. I mean, you can do that, or you can thrust them and, you know, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's this tiny little knife, you know. So however you want, you can come through this way, right? So there's always these different ideas in all that, but you got to look at what's giving you the most advantage for the multitude of problems that are coming your way. Okay, you can still rake with this, and when you got that tip coming across, okay, that's still going to do a lot of damage. Plus, you're just going to follow that up with the jab right there, which is a direct thrust. All right, so you got your 1 and your 2. Just start this off nice and big, and then tighten it up. And then go back. People are like, man, that's a big opening. Yeah, I'm also leading with the blade edge. Okay, and we're also going to be moving around with footwork, and we're going to be tactically applying things. You're not just standing still, you know, when you're actually doing this stuff. So 1, 2, 1, 2, right there. Work that out. If you got to, work it out slowly, and then go larger. Okay, and then you're going to come down that vertical line. Boom. 1, 2, vertical. Okay, look at the mechanics here. Boom. Okay, look at that mechanic. Look at that blade edge. Boom, coming down, right? If it's this way, does that, you know, people are like, yeah, but then you can't slash. You're in the reverse grip. You want to be thrusting, guys. So, you know, you can train it both ways, however you want, you know, but you got to look at what's giving you the actual advantage. Work that out. 1, 2, 3 right here. 1, 2, 1, and then you can fire that little jab right there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, jab. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, jab. Now you can hook it and then jab that. Hook it, roll it, and then jab that. There's a lot of things you can do there, but hopefully that stuff kind of makes sense to you guys, right? 1, 2, there's your primary thrusts. 1, you can also circle this out into the jab. Pop. See, you got your circulars, you got your broken strikes. Circular, circular here, which is a fluid. Okay, you got your broken strikes here. Boom, and you got your jabs. Pop. Boom, right there. You know, the most important thing on the Pakal grip is that you cap the knife with your thumb. So if you do prefer to have the blade edge on the outside, I don't really care. You know, use it however you want to use it. But if you do prefer to have the blade edge on the outside, that's totally fine. Okay, I'm not gonna like argue that stupid stuff with people. Right? It's stupid to argue with. Do what you like. Okay, just don't. I don't know why people would ask someone for instruction if you're gonna do whatever you want anyways, right? But the most important thing is just make sure you cap the knife. If you're using your pocket knife like a Spyderco or something like that, and there's no guard, you got to make sure that this thing is secured in your grip. All right, you don't want to thrust something and this thing hits and then your hand slides down. Okay, so you want to make sure that that knife is secured in your grip. See, to me, this is just weird feeling now. Okay, so that's what you want. Boom, that knife is capped. That thumb is capping that knife. Pop. Okay, right there. That's the most important thing. The most important thing. The Yojimbo 2, I don't know. I don't even know what that is, and I've never had one, so I don't have an opinion on it. I'm totally out of it, guys. All these new knives or whatever that might be out, I have no idea. I don't really look at that stuff anymore. I got my gear, and that's what I train with. I'm so busy training, guys. I'm not like, I have no idea what's going on out there. I really don't. Like, I found out about Raya and the Last Dragon, literally because I went online. I went on YouTube to upload a video, and it just happened to be there. That's the only reason why I know about that movie. Otherwise, I would have no idea. And it just kind of started doing that, like, you know, that preview play. And I was like, wait a minute, those are collie sticks. So if I didn't see that, I would have no idea about that movie. So I have no idea what's going on out there. The Endura 4, I mean, I don't know. It's a good knife, so. Yes, core for the win. Yep. That was good, man. That was good. No. Do not break your wrist on the center line. I'll show you why. Do not break your wrist on the center line, okay? That is not a proper striking mechanic. Okay. If you break your wrist on the center line, look at the blade edge now, and where is it going? The blade edge is going right back into your own body, and this is when you end up, like if you ever are swinging your stick and you whap yourself on the knee, okay? The reason why that happened is because, one, your angle was off, but primarily is because you broke your wrist early somewhere. So all that energy, you lost the control over your weapon, and you sailed that thing right into your knee. Do not break your wrist at the center line, okay? Where you break your wrist over is going to accelerate the tip of the weapon, because now you're working not with one loop, but you're working with 2 loops, okay? The first loop is in the rotation of the torso, meeting the shoulder. The second loop is the smaller loop, which is where the wrist rotates. Basic physics, ladies and gentlemen. Small circle or small wheel accelerates faster than a large wheel. A large wheel overall will go faster than a smaller wheel. But the smaller wheel accelerates faster because there's less surface area, okay? So that's why when you break your wrists over, wherever you break your wrist is where it's going to accelerate the tip. But it's not a good idea to be doing this out here, okay? You're causing way too many openings. You're going to lose that control, the precision of the weapon. And if you are training with a live blade, don't come whining to me when your kneecap is split in half and you got to go in and get, surgery, and then you're out of training for the next 8 weeks and all that stuff. And then you got to go through physical therapy and all that stuff because you almost cut your leg off. Okay? So you got to make sure that, you know where that wrist is breaking over at. Okay? That's very, very, very important. Good questions. How do you change grip from reverse to normal? Like just for fun or like functionally? 'Cause functionally, I mean, you typically wouldn't change your grip. Very, very simple. You pinch it and you slide it. That's it. And you just do it backwards the other way. You can do all this stuff and everything, but it's, we don't really do a whole lot of that. I have an old video that I did, when we would do this stuff. And you guys know what the real point of all this training here actually is. And when you're doing all this and you're coming through here, right, you're understanding the thumb, you're understanding the wedge, all that stuff. The purpose of this is that you're learning how to find the hand. That's the purpose of that. But otherwise, like if you're in the forward grip, if I'm in the forward grip, I'm not going to change to the reverse grip, right? If I'm in the reverse grip, which I'm probably not going to be, because you can still fight with a weapon versus somebody empty-handed with the forward grip, okay? And because you might have this person who is empty-handed, but you might have that opponent who has a weapon. So I'm not going to sit there and go like this and be trying to like switch off with everybody, right? You just fight with the advantage against the priority, which is the weapon, right? So now we get into multiple opponents talking. So, you just turn it. That's it. You just turn it. But I mean, why would you do that, right? It doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't give you any advantage. Otherwise this stuff is just learning, right? When you do this, like when I was first taught this, like all these little kind of fun little grip changes and stuff like that, the way I was taught it first, which was from my very first Escrima teachers, is that you tap the form. Okay? You tap the form and then you slide it. Okay? You tap the form and then you slide it. You tap the form and then you slide it. That's how we were taught this stuff in the very beginning. the primary reason when I would look at them and be like, so why are we really doing this? You know, why, like, what's the real point of doing this? And they said, it's just conditioning. That's it. It's just a fun way to train tempering. You smack that and you're coming back out. You smack that and then you're coming out. You smack that and then you come out. You smack that and then you come out. It's just a fun way of training tempering. That was like a truthful answer, like the first one I ever got in my life. And I was like, so this doesn't really have anything to do with like tracking the hand and all that. He goes, well, no, the forearm leads to the hand, but the forearm also leads back into either reverse or forward triangle. So, you know, you got to know how that, like, you know, anatomically works. But that's all that was. It was just, you know, so that way you're not sitting there just like, right? You could do that. But he's like, you know, then you come out through here and you start feeling the resistance of that, right? So and then you can start working all these things. It's just tempering. It's not anything like, you know, crazy, super cool or whatever. Reverse grip for outward blade is good for poke slash what? Combos, I think. Yeah, I mean, you know, you can use them for anything, right? I mean, yeah, if I'm on here. Here's Mr. Bob. If I got this, right, I could poke and I can slash like this, right? But look, that thrust right there, that's all you're going to need. And even if I come through with that, you know, and I come through here, it doesn't matter. You know, you're in. The difference is if he was to grab onto me, now I got this blade edge on the inside and I can cut his hand off, right? I can get it off me. This way, I can't do that, right? Like, I don't have a live blade on me right now, but you know, if this was the blade edge right here and this was the back, I'd sit there and do that to myself all day long. But I won't do that with a live blade like this, man. No way. You know, so I mean, you know, you train what you train, you do what you do, and you like what you like. But like I say, you got to see where is the actual advantage. So if it's more disadvantage to do this, then why would you do that, right? Why would you try to justify it? If this gives you far more advantage, then do the thing that is better, right? That makes sense with the blade inside, though. Didn't consider that as much. Yeah, just got to play with it, you know. Just got to train it and play with it. To win without fighting is best. That is true, actually. That's why Sun Tzu was one of the greatest strategists. Oh, here come a whole family of deer coming through my yard right now. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it. Can I flip this? You guys see my deer over there, over by the pond? You guys see my deer? Pretty cool, right? Yeah, so that's what goes on at night out here, man. Those are my training partners. Makes sense not to break the strike there. Yeah. You don't want to put your bolo in through your own leg right there. Is collie better than a gun? Well, a firearm is a projectile weapon, so we have projectile weapons. You guys know the history of the firearm, right? How the 45 was evolved, right? You guys know why that happened. If you don't, then you need to go look it up. You mean like a way of conditioning the forearms to take hits? Yeah, kind of. We don't really condition. I mean, it's not. I mean, you are conditioning the forearm to take hits, but what you're doing is you're conditioning your body to give hits. Okay, that's like one of the things. So one of the things, when I have people starting off with the empty hands, one of the things that my students hate the most is slapping, because their palms are so sensitive because they don't use them so much, you know, and then they hate when we go in and do the Sagong Labo or the Hubud, because, you know, when they're getting drilled right here, when these forms are coming in and drilling you, they're like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But a lot of times with the slaps, people don't like that right here. They're like, it hurts, it hurts. Yeah, you got to temper that. You know, you got to spend time with that. So we are tempering. We're doing all this tempering, yes, so that we can, you know, we can utilize. I mean, it's not really getting hit there. We're not looking to get hit there, but we are looking to use these parts of our body to hit, you know, to hit other people and stuff. What's happening? What's happening? Is it good to temper the bare palms with tires? You can. Just remember that you're tempering, right? So don't go like all out and destroy your hand. Okay, so in the beginning, right, just kind of start nice and light. Okay, you might have to do this for a couple of weeks, just kind of nice and light. Okay, just so that way you're tempering, you're you know, getting this a little bit harder. Then you can, you know, pick up the power. Okay. So when you're tempering, one of the biggest mistakes that I ever see people do when they're tempering, they go way too hard and for too long in the beginning of their tempering, and then you're gonna start kind of messing yourself up. So just start lighter and do, you know, shorter amounts of time with your tempering. That's all you need. You know, just kind of spend like, you know, 5 minutes. If you're brand new to it, just spend 5 minutes per side. And then just slowly start, you know, slowly start building the stamina for that. Okay, otherwise you're not going to be tempering for too long. Do you just use rattan sticks, or do you have different types of wood sticks? Would you recommend different weight for conditioning muscles, techniques, and all that stuff? I only use rattan sticks in my training. I do not. I have Kamagong sticks and Bahi sticks and all that back in the day when I was like, oh, these are cool. But no, I only use rattan sticks for training. I use rattan sticks. I got my training bolo, and then I got my real bolos. So that's what I use for my training. I don't really go any heavier than what my bolo is, because there's just no point. You don't need to do that. When you start training with heavy tools, you are adding more resistance to your muscles, which sounds like it's good for you, but you're actually slowing yourself down. So you're not getting faster, you're actually getting slower when you're training with heavier things. If you want to train speed, you have to train with something that allows you to move faster, so that way you're getting your muscle fibers to trigger faster. You don't want to add weight where your muscle fibers are triggering slower. Okay, so it's really important that, you know, how you train and what do you want? You know, do you want power? Do you want speed? Remember, speed is an element of power. So you're going to need speed. All right, by physics, you're going to need speed. Is there any rule for slapping? Should I keep the hand bent or straight as possible? Yeah, it's slightly cupped. Slightly cupped. Fingers are loosely held together and it's slightly cupped. The state of Pikiti right now is got game of Tuhans. I don't know what that means. I use sticks to hold. Oh, what? I use sticks was told to watch your channel. Oh, I see. You made a good impression on person that told me. Thank you. Yeah. Check out all our videos, man. I got like something like 600 videos or something right here on YouTube. And once you get through all those, then, you know, go check out our other stuff. I got a brand new program, guys, that we're working on to finish up. A brand new training program. It's going to be a beast of a program. So Tom is coming out this weekend to get some training in and help finish up filming that program. And hopefully in the next week or two, we're going to be able to get that program launched out. And yeah, it's a good training program. It's awesome. So I'm trying not to say anything about it. You know, we've been working on it for a while now, and I've been keeping it kind of silent and everything. But that's why I haven't been on as much like live like I've been wanting to be, because we've been working on the development of some new stuff. So we're really excited because we got some crazy new stuff coming. And yeah, it's good. All right. Probably after this weekend, once we finish filming it, then I'm going to start kind of talking about it a little bit more and let you guys know more on the loop and everything. And, you know, when it's going to be, you know, launched, what it's called, all these things, and what it's all about and everything. I'll probably jump on live here to talk more about that new program that we're coming out with. It's awesome. It's awesome. All right. So, yeah, it'll be really good. Looking forward to seeing what training gear and bags and such you got coming out. Yeah, so we got a whole new online gear store and merch store that's going to be coming over to Kali Center. And yeah, if you guys are on Instagram, you can go and follow that page, that account over there at Trigonal Gear. And yeah, we got some really good training gear and stuff coming up too. So we've been working on a lot of good designs for training bags, and we've been testing a lot of different types of materials. We've been working on designs for training bolos and training knives and all kinds of stuff. And working on, you know, so that way you can actually like train with them. You know, you can actually start going to contact and things like that. So you're going to really be able to utilize these training tools. So that way, you know, you're not just sitting there making contact with sticks. You know, you can start actually training actual Kali blade fighting, you know, tactics and techniques with each other. So, you know, it's super awesome stuff that we've been designing and making sure everything is, you know, feels right. It balanced right. It flies correctly how it's supposed to be. So you got good mechanics and proper manipulations of advanced tactics and things like that. So we have a whole bunch of really good training gear coming out and different types of merchandise and all that's going to help assist your training and all kinds of really cool stuff, guys. We're really going out and designing every single aspect of Kali. So, you know, we've been taking this last year and just kind of, you know, with all the pandemic stuff and everything, we're like, you know what, since people are having a hard time training together and, you know, even our groups, our chapters even suffered from that too. Even though they were still getting together in, you know, kind of small groups of staff and kind of more the advanced guys were still getting together and training and stuff. You know, I looked at my staff guys and I'm like, hey, you know what, let's start thinking about this stuff too. Let's start thinking about, you know, what's the best training gear that we can possibly make and get out there all the way. Everything from head to toe and everything you can put out there and everything. I'm like, let's design the absolute best training gear when it comes to Kali. And that's what we're doing right now. So, yeah, so hopefully our store will be able to start launching that soon. The new training program, you know, we're going to be launching that soon. And, you know, it's just going to be awesome. We're taking Kali Center to the whole next level, the whole new evolution of where, you know, it should be going. So it's going to be awesome. You know, I'm really excited about it. I've been in meetings like for the past week, almost every single day with Tom and Ollie. We've just been, meeting after meeting after meeting, making sure that we're hashing everything out. So once we launch everything, it goes really, really smoothly. And then Ollie and I, we've been constantly talking about different types of designs for different training gear and all kinds of stuff. So a lot of really good stuff. Greetings from Belgium. Can you recommend anyone who makes custom aluminum knife weapons? I have not been able to find anywhere a gununting with hand protection. Ooh, that might be tough to find in aluminum. And with wooden handles. That might be hard. I don't really know of anyone that's consistently doing that. My aluminum trainers, a student of mine, he made those. We kind of, modeled those. I just helped him with the design. We just kind of threw them together so that way we had something that had some decent balance to it and stuff. But it's hard to find, man. It's, it's hard to find a really good training bolo, like an actual training bolo that feels how a bolo should feel. We have that now. We're waiting right now on an order to come in, but we have accomplished that. So we're really excited about it. Bought the starter vids from Kali Center. Love the fact that it reminds me of my progress. Nice. That's awesome. Thanks for explaining inward blade reverse grip. We'll try it out now. I've only used the other one. But you convinced me to change. Well, I'm not trying to convince you to change. You got to train it and experience it for yourself. And then you decide. Don't take my word for anything. All right? I'm just giving you, from my experience, you got to do the training and then you come to the conclusion yourself. Don't just go into a conclusion just because, someone said so or because I said so. Yeah, just make sure that you're training and, you're doing what you need to do with that. Hey, Eric, it's good to see you on here, man. Awesome. We'll keep spreading the FMA love. All right, cool. So, yeah, I've been on here for a long time now. So I'm going to kind of jet out and go get some dinner and stuff and all that. So it's really fun hanging out with everybody and training and answering all these different training questions and things like that. I'll try to jump on here quite a bit more. And sometimes we'll just do some training. We'll just have some training sessions. And other times I'll try to come on here so I can answer your guys' training questions and things. All that stuff. And sometimes I'll try to get Tom or Ollie or some of them to do some training with you guys live here on the channel as well. So you are going to be seeing more of Tom. You'll be seeing more of Ollie. You'll especially be seeing more of Tom on the channel and stuff. So he's got a lot of great ideas. We get a lot of questions about a lot of the stuff that he really experts in. A lot of the like recovery training and stuff, especially anyone that's kind of getting off of an injury, or maybe they need to strengthen their knees, or they got bad knees and they need to strengthen them, or kind of work their shoulders. Tom is really, really good on that. With his all the studying and certifications and things like that he's been going through, all the yoga and the restorative training and all kinds of stuff. So he's going to be on here. He'll be doing some Kali stuff. He'll be doing some of the restorative things and all kinds, and helping you guys with flexibility. All kinds of really cool stuff that Tom is going to be bringing to the Kali Center channel as well. So you will be seeing more of Tom. You guys will be seeing more of Ollie, which I'm really excited about because these guys got, their fields of expertise as well. Ollie, he's been, really hitting on all the nutrition and different types of fitness and things like that. So he's going to be able to help you guys out and answer a lot of really good questions. questions that we've had in the past. And, these guys have gone off and really taken that study of those questions and really worked on getting the answers to those questions. Just different types of questions, like different types of food that you should be eating and dieting to maximize your training and your performance, and what kind of exercises you should be doing to recover your knees or, kind of rejuvenate the body and stuff like that, and how to increase flexibility in certain parts of your body if you need to do some target flexibility work and stuff like that. These guys, for the last few years, they have been studying, training on this stuff. So they're going to be bringing their expertise to the channel as well. So be on the lookout for those guys. It'll be, some good stuff. And like I said, we got some new stuff coming on out. I'm really excited about. I will be announcing that stuff probably, like I said, in the next week or two. And then if you guys are interested in coming out and training with me for 5 days in person, check out our 2021 ITC. That's our immersion training camp. It's a 5-day training camp. We train outside all day long for 5 days. We average about 10 to 11 hours per day of training. That is not counting our hiking out to some of the destinations when we hike. Head on over to colliecenter.com to check out all of the information about our 2021 ITC. Registration is open now for that. We have early bird registration. Also, if you are an Inner Triangle member, or if you are a sponsor here on our YouTube channel and you want to join us at ITC, I'm going to be giving you guys an awesome discount to come on out and train with us for those 5 days. All right, so I'll be putting some more information about that up on the community page here on YouTube. That will be available for our members to be able to see all the sponsors and stuff here on our channel. If you're not a sponsor to the channel yet, check it out. You can click the join button right below any of our videos and check out becoming a sponsor. And even if you want to just check out level 1, it's only $1.99 a month. It really helps me out. It helps the channel out a lot. It helps out the staff guys and kind of get everything going, especially with a lot of this merchandise and new training gear and stuff. So that way we can, get the inventory and build all this stuff up. Being a sponsor to the channel really helps us out. And then you get exclusive, not only just some cool different perks and things like that. So in the comments, if you see somebody with a triangle next to their name and stuff, they're a sponsor to the channel. But you also get exclusive access to a whole bunch of training videos that are right here on YouTube that you got to be a sponsor to get it. You got to get access to that. So being a sponsor to the channel, you get access to the members area, and we got a whole bunch of really cool more detailed videos and all kinds of stuff that's right on over there. I just filmed 2 new ones today for our sponsors. That's going to be going up probably what's today, Wednesday. So probably I'm going to get one up later this week, and then the other one will be up next week. So a lot of really cool stuff there. All right, so I'll just kind of skim through here real quick so I can say bye to everybody. Peace, man. Yep, it's great to see everybody on here and be hanging out with me, especially those of you who hung out with me for the duration of this time for 2 hours. Holy cow. Take care, man. This sounds like it will be cool. Thanks. See you again. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your family time. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks for your time and info. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with me. My back has a lot wrong, but I still do what I can. We might be able to help you out. Maybe not 100% correct everything or whatever, but, Kali, sometimes it works some magic and sometimes it doesn't, but, it's good stuff. Thank you for the content and training ideas. Got to go back to work. Catch you next time. Nice. Awesome. Cool. Real quick question. I am in North Carolina. How does one become an affiliate of Collie Center? Through our Inner Triangle program, and you have to come and train with me in person because I need to meet you. We need to train, and we got to get your skill up in the Collie Center method before we can start talking about chapter groups and all that stuff. So if you are interested and kind of serious about going down our leadership program and becoming a chapter leader and all that stuff, my suggestion is attend 2021 ITC. That's our 5-day training camp that we hold once a year. You know, that way we get to meet, we get to train, and you get a really good taste of our training in person and all that stuff. And then we can help teach that stuff and all that. So, you know, come on out to that, and that would be a great place to get initiated into the leadership program and work your way towards a chapter leader and all that stuff. We don't just throw them out there. You know, we don't just throw people into chapters that we don't know and we haven't trained with. So, you know, we got to get that time in. All right, I will talk to you guys later on. Have a great night or morning or day, whatever it is, wherever you're at. And I'll see you guys next time. All right.